Call to order the Public Improvement Commission hearings of the City of Boston. Today is December 2nd of 2021. Mr. Lining, if you could do the roll call for me, please.
Certainly. Representative from the Public Works Department, please state your name.
Parag Jayasinghe.
Transportation Department.
Amy Gordon.
Inspectional Services Department.
Brian Ronan.
Water and Sewer Commission.
Denise Devlin.
Commission for Persons with Disabilities.
Sarah Leung.
And my understanding is Property Management is not present. But we do have...
We have a quorum. We can start. First order of business, approval of the hearing minutes. At the request of the Public Improvement Commission staff, the acceptance of minutes of the PIC hearings held on November 18th, 2021.
Make a motion to approve the minutes of November 18th, 2021.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. First item under the public hearing segment, public hearing number 1, on a joint petition by OG West Campus Land LLC and the Massachusetts Division of Capital Asset Management and Maintenance for the layout approval of a new private way open to public travel in West Roxbury known as Wobbler Way, from the southwesterly terminus of West Main Street to a point approximately 370 feet northerly. This was brought under new business on November 18th of this year, as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston, Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Layout Approval Plan, Wobbler Way, Private Way, Open to Public Travel, West Roxbury, 2 sheets, August 17, 2020, revised November 18, 2021. Good morning.
Good morning, Chairman and members of the Commission. My name is Eric Van Dusen, Senior Vice President of New Boston Fund, and on behalf of our joint venture with our community partner, Lena Park CDC, Lena New Boston is pleased to be here this morning to present our latest plans for the continued development of mixed income housing at our Olmsted Green project in Mattapan. Before I turn the presentation over regarding our specific public hearing request to our engineers at VHB, I wanted to provide a brief overview of the Olmsted Green Master Plan, which has transformed the former Boston State Hospital site into a community of approximately 500 mixed-income homes to address the needs of low, moderate, and market households, including workforce families. To help put the current request into context, if I could just share my screen, I will share the our latest master plan that shows the site. So let me do that. So, and it should come up as a master plan of various colors. Again, in context, this is our west campus. We have 2 campuses that make up the 38 acres that we own and have developed over the years at Olmsted Green. On the right side of the page is Morton Street. On the bottom of the page to the south is Harvard Street. Off the page a bit to the west is Walk Hill, and then American Legion to our north, also not on the page. But that bounds our west campus, which is approximately 24 acres. And all but these light yellowish site here, hopefully my cursor's doing a decent job showing it, have been developed. Various homes, either home ownership or rental. So all those homes have been developed and are being occupied. And so our last project is the creation of 80 new home ownership opportunities for mixed income families, bordering on the Mass Audubon, Boston Nature Center, and our neighbors to the west, which is the remaining state-owned DCAM controlled land. There will be 20 buildings contain of 2- and 3-story buildings connected, containing those 80 units. And we're asking here before the commission to create 3 new streets off of our existing West Main Street that was recently completed, those being Goldfinch Court, Finch Street, and Warbler Way. So that's what we're here to present again and answer any questions. I open if there's any general questions. Otherwise, I'll turn it over to Kevin Wright, who will walk you through the specific plans we have for those three streets.
Thank you, Eric. If you could ask Kevin to do his thing.
I will. Kevin, can you help me out and present the project?
Yes. Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you, Eric. We're here to walk through the first plan, which is on the petition for Warbler Way. I'll share my screen as well. All right. So Warbler Way is off of West Main Street. We've got the minimum 40-foot width requirement. That's 5-foot sidewalks on both sides of the street. We've gotten through all the necessary approvals and comments that are needed for the layout of Warbler Way. This will be, porous pavement, which is standard, what we've done in all of the previous phases of Olmsted Green. And we continue to maintain the public access point at this end of the street.
Thank you, Kevin. Any questions for Mr. Wright by fellow commission members? Hearing none, any comments by PIC staff and or members of today's audience?
No, none.
I'd like to hear a motion regarding public hearing number 1.
I'll make a motion to approve a joint petition by OG West Campus Land LLC and the Massachusetts Division of Capital Asset Management and Maintenance for the layout and approval of Warbler Way as read into the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Anyone opposed or abstain? Hearing none, motion passes. Public hearing number 2, on a petition by OG West Campus Land LLC for the layout approval of a new private way open to public travel in West Roxbury, known as Finch Street, from the northerly terminus of Warbler Way to West Main Street. This was brought under new business on November 18th of this year, as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Layout Approval Plan, Finch Street Private Way open to public travel, West Roxbury, 2 sheets dated August 17, 2020, and revised for November 18, 2021. Kevin?
Hey, good morning. The Finch Street plan is up on your screen right now. Previously noted. Same principles. We have the 40-foot minimum width. We've got 5-foot sidewalks on both sides. In this case, we have 8-foot parking lanes and a 20-foot wide roadway. And this is also porous pavement for the street. Here is noted, and then we connect on Warbler Way at the other end for Finch Street.
Thank you, Mr. Ryan. Any questions for Kevin by fellow commission members? Hearing none, any comments or concerns by PIC staff and or members of today's audience?
No, one thing that I will mention is it was mentioned at the new business hearing, and it applies to Finch as well as Warbler and the next private way, Goldfinch Court. These are not to be made public in the future due to a number of reasons, including materiality and dimensions.
Thank you, Mr. Lamping, for putting that thing on the record. At this point, I'd like to hear a motion regarding public hearing number 2.
I'll make a motion to approve a petition by OG West Campus Land LLC for the layout and approval of a new private way, Finch Street, as read into the record by the chair.
Second.
I'll second that.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Anyone opposed or abstain? Hearing none, motion passes. Public hearing number 3, on a petition by OG West Campus Land LLC for the layout approval of a new private way open to public travel in West Roxbury, known as Goldfinch Court, from West Main Street Deering Road to West Main Street, Field Sparrow Way. This was brought under new business on November 18th of this year, as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Layout Approval Plan, Goldfinch Court, Private Way, open to public travel, West Roxbury, 3 sheets dated August 17, 2020, and revised November 18, 2021. Kevin?
Okay, thank you very much. Good morning again. The Goldfinch Street is spanned over 2 plans, but again, this follows the same principle of 40-foot minimum widths for the private way with 5-foot sidewalks on either side, 8-foot parking lanes, and a 20-foot wide roadway. Again, this is our porous pavement, which is standard for the campus. And this begins at West Main Street and spans over to a second page where we show the remainder of Goldfinch and ends on West Main Street opposite the newly constructed Deering Road.
Thank you, Mr. Wright. Any questions for Kevin by fellow commission members?
Oh, good morning, Kevin. This is Denise Devlin from Boston Water and Sewer. I know you've worked with us for quite a while on this project. We have had some new staff changes, and there was a question that came up this morning about the Goldfinch Loop. One of our members of construction made a comment about the as-built that we have from you for West Main Street and Deering Road shows the Goldfinch Loop to be a detention area. So I know you probably have already submitted this, to our department to show with the layout with the homes. If you can just,
Yes.
Make a comment about that.
Yes, Denise, there's a good point there that there is a existing detention area right now in that span, and we do have site plans that have been prepared and commented on, and we're still in the process of finalizing those site plans with Phil LaRock and your group there, which will show the replacement of the detention ponds with the new homes and the new drainage system that all ties in and meets all the standards that we need to meet as we abut the adjacent butters, the wetland and the Audubon.
Okay, great. Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you, Denise. Any further comments by fellow commission members to Mr. Wright? Hearing none, any comments or concerns by PIC staff and all members of today's audience?
No, none.
This point, I'll make a motion regarding public hearing number 3.
Make a motion to approve a petition by OG West Campus Land LLC for the layout and approval of a private way Goldfinch Court as read into the record by the chair.
Do I take
Second.
a second? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Anyone opposed or abstain? Hearing none, motion passes. Public hearing number 4 on a petition by OG West Campus Land LLC for the making of specific repairs within West Main Street, a public way, West Roxbury, located generally between Falcon Lane and its south-westerly terminus at Warbler Way, consisting of new street trees. This was brought under new business on November 18th of this year, as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Specific Repair Plan, West Main Street, Public Way, West Roxbury, 2 sheets dated August 17, 2020, and revised on November 18 of 2021.
Good morning, Commissioners. Again, this is West Main Street, which is recently constructed. It's a 60-foot wide roadway, public roadway. Everything has been in construction and completed with the exception of the street trees that were proposed on this northern portion of the roadway, and that was due to the fact that the last phase, this phase that we're presenting to you, would be in construction, and we would put in the trees at that particular point once construction of the new homes was completed. Since the hearing, we've added the note that All these sidewalks are 7-foot wide sidewalks that are clear. We've got a 5-foot tree lawn area that's abutting the roadways, which is standard for what West Main Street has done in the Olmsted Green campuses. And again, we have, excuse me, parking on both sides and travel lanes on both sides that are, I believe, a total of 36 inches. So you can see that we've dimensioned it on the plan since that time. 36 feet total roadway width. And this is standard pavement for this campus due to its fact that it's a public roadway.
Thank you, Kevin. I'm going to assume your bulb outs are 8 feet, so you have at least a pretty good clear path of travel
Yes.
to the pitch points. Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Wright by fellow commission members? Hearing none, Kevin, I'm going to assume the trees are covered under a maintenance agreement with the city?
I believe that there is
Kevin, I can jump. Yeah, I can jump in. Yeah, no, I think our council at Goldston Stores has been in contact with the city's council, and they've been talking about it. I don't think the city's council feels there's a need. I don't know if he's in attendance today to state that.
The city will take over maintenance of these street trees provided that they are installed to city standard and that the Parks Department reviews the as-built conditions and accepts them into the Parks Department's inventory. Otherwise, a maintenance agreement would be required. But we can have that discussion after the fact.
Yeah, I mean, that's the intent with West Main, is to turn that over, as I think what said, it meets the city standards, and we hope to, upon completion of construction of the adjacent streets, to have that be turned over to the city.
Yep, that's been the intention all along.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any comments by PIC staff and all members of today's audience?
No, none.
At this point, I'd like to hear a motion regarding public hearing number 4.
I'll make a motion to approve a petition by OG West Campus Land LLC for the making of specific repairs within West Main Street as read into the record by the chair.
Do I hear a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstain? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you, Eric, Kevin. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all. Have a good day.
You do. Public hearing number 5 on a joint petition by Nubian Ascents Partners LLC and the Boston Planning and Development Agency for the discontinuance of any and all rights to travel the public may have had within the entirety of Renfrew Street, a public way, Roxbury, located between Eustace Street and Harrison Avenue. This is brought under new business on November 18th of this year, as shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Discontinuance Plan, Renfrew Street, Public Way, Roxbury, one sheet dated November 11, 2021. Good morning.
Good morning, Chairman and Commissioners, and happy holidays. My name is Michael Navaria from Rubin and Redmond, and I'm here representing Nubian Ascent Partners. As you may recall from our last meeting, Nubian Square is a mixed-use proposed development in the Roxbury district. Just sharing my screen now. You can see here, it is right in the heart of Nubian Square at Nubian Station. As part of the proposed development, we will need to discontinue a roadway, Renfrew Street, you can see here on the attached plan. Since the last meeting, we were able to provide the engineering report as requested by the commissioners to Mr. Liming, and we've updated our plan to include the siting of the Verizon utilities that are in that road.
Thank you, Michael. Truly appreciate the due diligence which your team has done, including obviously you. At this point, are there any questions for the petitioner by fellow commission members?
Oh, good morning, Michael. This is Denise Devlin from Boston Water and Sewer Commission. I know we mentioned this before at the last meeting. We just have to state it for the record, that we have no issue with you receiving the PIC approval for the discontinuance contingent upon the condition that we are satisfactory with the site plan submitted through our Engineering Customer Services Department that shows how you will abandon its facilities on Renfrew Street and where the connections will be. And also based on discussions, it didn't appear that we will need a full width easement because you will be, you'll be doing the abandoning the facilities, before, we would need them. So.
Yes, thank you very much. We're happy with those contingencies.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Michael. Any further questions or comments to Michael? Hearing none, any comments by PIC staff and all members of today's audience?
No, all set.
Like to hear a motion regarding public hearing number 5.
I'll make a motion to approve a joint petition by Nubian Ascends Partners LLC and the Boston Planning and Development Agency for the discontinuance of Renfrew Street as read into the record by the chair.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstain? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you. Happy holidays.
And to you too. Public hearing number 6 on a petition by WBA 710W LLC for the line and grade approval of a new public way in Brighton known as Mina Way from Washington Street to a point approximately 175 feet southwesterly, located generally between Presentation Road and Burton Street. This was brought on a new business on November 18th of this year, as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston, Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Line and Grade Plan, Mina Way, Public Way, Brighton, 3 sheets dated October 25th, 2021. Good morning.
Good morning. James Downing, Howard Stein Hudson. I'm here to present the Mina Way plan. I'm also joined by Peter Davos, who is the applicant from the WBA LLC. I will share my screen with everybody. We are here to present the new Mina Way street, which would be located off of Washington Street in the Brighton neighborhood. The new street will serve 8 new single-family home lots. Since we were last here 2 weeks ago, discussion came up about the width of the right-of-way. We were showing it at 53 feet. Since then, we have been able to reduce it to 40 feet. And that would include having 5-foot cement concrete sidewalks, 5-foot furnishing zone on either side with a 20-foot roadway base. Improvements within the public way would include new street trees, new street lighting. The improvements also would include the reconstruction of the ped ramps at the intersection of Washington Street and Presentation Road. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that commission members may have.
Thank you. Any questions for the petitioner by fellow commission members?
Hi, thank you so much for the project update. I just did have a question about the design of the entry to Mina Way. I just wanted some clarification on whether or not it would be a raised crosswalk or a driveway condition up into the new street.
Right, good question. So basically, in all intents and purposes, it'll look like a driveway entrance. It will have a concrete apron going all the way across between the two, well, I wouldn't say ramps, but between the two connecting sidewalks.
Okay. In that case, the detectable warnings will not be needed. They're only needed if it is a raised crosswalk condition. So we just want to clarify that.
Thank you, Sarah.
Just to clarify,
James,
these plans are showing a city standard raised crosswalk as opposed to a driveway apron.
Right. Correct. It came up at the last meeting. We decided to go with the driveway. However, if you want to raise crosswalk, we're happy to provide a raised crosswalk instead, whichever the commission would think is more appropriate here.
We can discuss that offline, and we'll have the final Mylars reflect the appropriate condition.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Lamy. Thank you, Sarah. James, point of clarification, I'm glad that you are showing us some street trees. So what is the net resulting sidewalk width once you account for the size of the tree pit?
Sure. So the behind the tree pit, you'll have a 5-foot cement concrete sidewalk, and then with the tree pit, it's also a 4.5-foot furnishing zone.
Thank you. Any further comments by PSC Commission members? Hearing none, comments by PSC staff and all members of today's audience?
No, none.
Let me hear a motion regarding public hearing number 6.
Make a motion to approve a petition by WBA 710W LLC for the line and grade approval of a new public way, Mina Way, as read into the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstain? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you, James. Moving on to public hearing number 7, the petition by Verizon New England Inc. for a grant of location with lead company status and no participants to install new telecommunication conduit with city shadow within the following public ways in Dorchester: Macon Street between address number 19 and Neponset Avenue. Neponset Avenue generally at Macon Way. This was brought as a new business on November 18th of this year, as shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Grant of Location Plan, Verizon 19 Macon Street, proposed conduit installation, Dorchester 1 sheet, dated November 2021. Good morning.
Good morning. This is James Watt with Pike Telecom, representing Verizon on these grant location petitions. It looks like we have 5 continued grant location petitions from last time around. Just want to state before I go into them that the purpose of all 5 of these petitions is to place fiber to the respective node to provide service to the area. We're going to be getting fiber there through conduit placement in the streets to Extenet handholds that have been placed typically in the sidewalk. The first one I have on the docket is, I'm going to share my screen here. Is for 72 King Street. We're going to be placing 327 feet of conduit from existing manhole 13-91.
James, I think you may have the wrong one. We have opened the public hearing for Macon Street at Neponset Avenue.
Oh, my apologies. I think this is the right one here. Yep. So we're going to be placing conduit from existing manhole 13-91 located at the corner of Macon Street and Neponset Ave. The conduit will travel along Macon Street to a proposed telco conduit intercept. It's been noted that Spawn Street parking is going to be affected by this conduit placement, and Verizon has confirmed that they're going to be notifying the proper parties and getting the correct APS relocation form completed to make sure that everyone's notified. I think 2 weeks advance is the notice that you're required. Do you have any questions about this petition?
Thank you, James. Any questions by fellow commission members? Hearing none, comments or questions by PSC staff or members of today's audience?
No, none.
Like we get a motion regarding public hearing number 7.
Make a motion to approve a petition by Verizon New England Inc. for a grant of location on Macon Street and Neponset Ave, as read into the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstain? Hearing none, motion passes. Public hearing number 8 on a petition by Verizon New England Inc. for a grant of location with lead company status and no participants to install new telecommunication conduits with city shadow within the following public ways in Dorchester: King Street, generally from Adams Street to address number 72 at Elmdale Street; Adams Street, generally at King Street; This was brought under new business on November 18th of this year, as shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Grant of Location Plan, Verizon, 72 King Street, proposed conduit installation, Dorchester, one sheet dated February 23rd of 2021. James?
Okay, so this petition is to place conduit from an existing manhole 11-466 at the intersection of Adam Street and King Street. The conduit will travel 447 feet along King Street to an existing exit handhole at the corner of King Street and Elmdale Ave in front of 72 King Street. I believe this one also was noted for having street parking affected. So Verizon will be submitting the proper notifications and forms that they need to notify the proper parties. Are there any questions on this one?
Any questions for Mr. Ward, who is representing Verizon, by fellow commission members?
Yes, I just wanted to confirm that Verizon had received our email this week regarding the proper form and email address to send that form to regarding the accessible parking spaces.
Yes, we did receive the APS relocation form. I believe that we have the notification. Is that listed on the form for email?
Yes, it is listed on the form, or you can send it back to my email address as well.
Okay, I'll have that noted. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further comments by fellow commission members? Hearing none, any comments by PIC staff and or members of today's audience?
All set.
Like to hear a motion regarding public hearing number 8.
Make a motion to approve a petition by Verizon New England Inc. for a grant of location on King Street and Adams Street as read into the record by the chair.
Second.
Do I hear a second? I think I heard. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstain? Hearing none, motion passes. Public hearing number 9 on a petition by Verizon New England Inc. for a grant of location with lead company status and no participants to install new telecommunication conduits with city shadow within the following public ways in Dorchester: Talbot Avenue, generally between addresses number 80 and Nightingale Street, Nightingale Street, northeast of Talbot Avenue. This is brought under new business on November 18th of this year, as shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Grant of Location Plan, Verizon, 80 Talbot Avenue, proposed conduit installation, Dorchester, one sheet dated November 2021.
Okay, so this conduit placement, Verizon looking for a grant location to place conduit from pole 14 on Nightingale Street on the easterly side, close to 104 Nightingale. The proposed conduit will travel down Nightingale and cross over to Talbot Ave, where it will continue a total of 658 feet to a existing exit handhole located on the south side of Talbot, across from 80 Talbot Ave. And the purpose of this is to provide new service to the area and to place fiber to the node location. Are there any questions on this one?
Thank you, James. Any questions for Mr. Ward, representing Verizon? Hearing none, any comments or concerns by PIC staff and or members of today's audience?
All set.
Like to hear a motion regarding public hearing number 9.
I'll make a motion to approve a petition by Verizon New England Inc. for a grant of location in Talbot Ave and Nightingale Street as read into the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstain? Hearing none, motion passes. On a petition by Verizon New England Inc. for a grant of location with lead company status and no participants to install new telecommunication conduits with city shadow within the following public ways in Dorchester: Lonsdale Street, generally between address number 53 and Dorchester Ave, generally at Lonsdale Street, Wells Avenue. This was brought under new business on November 18th of this year, as shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Grant of Location Plan, Verizon, 53 Lonsdale Street, proposed conduit installation, Dorchester 1 sheet dated November 2021.
Okay, so for this grant allocation petition request, Verizon is looking to place conduit from existing manhole 60 at the intersection of Wells Ave, Dorchester Ave, across from Lonsdale Street. Conduit is going to travel proposed 786 feet down Lonsdale Street to an existing Exnet handhole at the front of 53 Lonsdale Street. And I believe this one had on-street parking affected, noted. So Verizon will be submitting the required documentation.
Any questions for Mr. Watt, again representing Verizon today? Hearing none, any comments or concerns by PSC staff or members of today's audience?
No, all set.
I'd like to hear a motion regarding public hearing number 10.
Make a motion to approve a petition by Verizon New England Inc. for a grant of location in Lonsdale Street and Dorchester Ave is read into the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstain? Hearing none, motion passes. Public hearing number 11. On a petition by Verizon New England Inc. for a grant of location with lead company status and no participants to install new telecommunication conduits with city shadow within Geneva Avenue, Public Way, Dorchester, located generally from Charles Street to address number 438 at Josephine Street. This was brought on a new business on November 18th of this year, as shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Grant of Location Plan, Verizon 438 Geneva Avenue, proposed conduit installation, Dorchester 1 sheet dated November 2021.
Okay, so this petition request is looking for Verizon to place conduit from existing Verizon manhole 11-79 at the intersection of Geneva Ave and Charles Street. The proposed conduit will be placed 308 feet down Geneva Ave to an existing shared handful on the south side of Geneva Street. I understand that there were a couple questions on this petition regarding a coinciding petition to place conduit on the northerly side of Geneva Street to another handhole that's located at the corner of Josephine Street. It's about right where my cursor is. The reason for having these two nodes located so close together, they are Exnet handholes, but there's going to be for two separate carriers, not going to be for the same carrier, which is why they are so close together. And then I believe the second question was, why are we looking to trench in two different locations? Verizon is looking to revise the pathway for either one or both of these to trench in the same place. They're going to be trenching the same and breaking off at a point going to each of the respective nodes. But we don't have that revised pathway yet. It's still in the works. Are there any questions regarding this one?
James, I was under the impression that there were some issues with this petition. Mr. Lining, could you shed some light as to whether this petition needs to be heard by the commission today or whether it needs to be adjusted?
Yes, I had a conversation with Karen Levesque of Verizon, and she indicated that she and her staff are going to look to consolidate this dig with another dig to the other node that James mentioned. She indicated that she would prefer to withdraw this action and come back next year with the combined work all in one petition.
James, that seems to be the understanding of Mr. Lining, who is the Chief Engineer for the Public Improvement Commission. Question is, are you aware of this position on behalf of your client?
Yes, I'm aware that they're looking to consolidate. This understandable, agreeable. I understand that. Why would we do this?
If it needs to be consolidated, this petition needs to be withdrawn without prejudice, and you need to ask for that. And since this is a public hearing, you need to state your name, introduce yourself appropriately as who you are with, who you are representing, and ask the commission to withdraw this petition without prejudice.
Hey, yep. My name is James Watt. I work for Pike Telecom. I'm a subcontractor for Verizon. And I'm requesting that this petition be withdrawn so we can resubmit under one petition, both notes, to be placed in one trench.
Thank you, James. I will give a motion regarding the petitioner's request for public hearing number 11.
I'll make a motion to withdraw public hearing item number 11 as read into the record by the chair. That way.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstain? Hearing none, motion passes. That concludes the public hearing segments of our agenda. Now moving on to the new business portion. Item number 1, 100 Sudbury Street, Boga Street, Hawkins Street, Boston proper, vertical discontinuances, specific repairs on a set of joint petitions by Wolfridge, WPB1 owner LLC and the Boston Planning and Development Agency. Good morning. Good morning, Tom.
Good morning. Good morning, members of the commission. Good morning, Parag. Thank you very much for the opportunity to appear before you today. We are talking to you about two buildings that you can see pretty clearly from City Hall, I think. This is a little bit different in that these are two separate actions, but they're really one larger redevelopment of the Government Center garage. As folks know, we've appeared before you, I think now a number of times. We're sharing slides. John, are those?
Just pulling it up now.
Okay, we're pulling up right now. We're going to share slides with you in one moment, and then we'll be able to run through our votes or our presentation. Sorry. So I'll give you a quick update as we're going forward here. So as folks can see, I think from City Hall, we have completed the Sudbury, which is the residential building. John's running his cursor over that. That's 100 and 110 Sudbury. That's a residential building completed in the fall of 2020. One Congress, which is the office tower, is underway right now. So One Congress will be completed in the beginning of 2023. You'll actually see the full structure of the building from the outside really will look to be completed in the beginning of next year, in the beginning of 2022. I think folks know that as part of this, we will demolish the portion of the garage that is over Congress Street and out over Haymarket Station. That's probably the most complicated thing we've ever done in our careers to do that, just given how active that corridor is. And we're doing it at a pretty steady pace, slow going, but we're working our way through it right now. Go ahead, John, next slide. This just gives you a sense of what's underway. The office tower on the right is pretty much that picture is a good representation of where the office tower is at this point, although the glass on that side has progressed, I think, all the way up near the top. We're about to enclose the building completely, as I said, by January or so. Really excited about these two buildings, and thanks so much for the commission members and your support all the way through this. Go ahead, John, next slide, please. So now we're into 100 Sudbury Street, which is the residential building. That's the one closest to City Hall. Go ahead, John. So we've got two basic actions for this. One is with regard to specific repair. So people will remember, hopefully, that during the course of the construction of the building and of the sidewalk and various pieces of the public realm, in consultation with the Parks Department, there was a slightly different alignment that was recommended by the Parks Department in terms of the street trees and some other pieces. And so we've already built this part of the sidewalk and put these street trees in. This is really a vote to memorialize the placement of the street trees and where they are specifically today. So that's the first vote on this. And Parag, excuse me, do you want me to present everything and then go back and you want to take a vote on each one, or how do you?
No. So Tom, since this is the new business hearing, all you are doing is presenting the stuff, and based on feedback, we will be marking it up for a public hearing in 2 weeks.
Great. Okay. Thank you. Very much. Oh, that's right. Also, too, one other quick thing. I'm sorry. Hopefully, folks have had a chance to come down and walk the new stairs and the new park at Bowker Green, which we're really excited about. That clearly is an improvement from before. As part of that, the police department requested a new generator, and we aligned the generator in the spot on the sidewalk where the police department requested it. That, too, was a slight change from what was originally approved from PIC some years ago when we first met with you. So those are the two items for that first vote. Go ahead, John. And then the next, these are just slides on that. Yep. And then the next is vertical discontinuance. When we did the site work, people will remember when we were in the ground doing the work, there were some obstructions that were found underneath. And so the foundation work had to be adjusted slightly by an amount of 3 square feet. So the remaining vote has to do with the memorialization of essentially where the foundations are today. So the building has been completed, and there's a slight difference of 3 square feet under the sidewalk for that. Okay? So that's it for WPB1, call it, or Sudbury Street. And I can go on to the next one if that's okay, which is the...
So we'll take this in the order. So I assume those are all the items for specific repairs and the discontinuances for Sudbury Street, Bogus Street, and Hawkins.
Correct.
Am I correct? Okay.
Yes, that's correct.
Any questions for Tom or John by fellow commission members? Hearing none. Any comments by PSC staff or members of today's audience?
One thing that I will mention very quickly is that generator, which Tom mentioned, there was an existing generator within the public right-of-way, and this action is simply relocating it to a slightly different location. So this is not, we're not introducing a new piece of infrastructure to the public right-of-way here.
Thank you, Todd.
That's correct. Thank you.
No further comments by PSC staff and or members of today's audience. We will mark this thing up for a public hearing that should be on December 16th of this year.
Great, thank you. The next is 1 Congress Street, which is the office tower. There are 4 actions.
Sorry. Okay, so new business item number 2, Merriman Street, New Chardon Street, Bogus Street, Boston Proper, vertical discontinuances, pedestrian easements, specific repairs, and projection license on a set of joint petitions by BC1 Congress Tower Owner LLC and Bullfinch East Parcel Owner LLC.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I'm sorry. I'm out of practice in terms of following the script. I'm awful sorry. So this is 1 Congress Street. There are 4 actions requested here. 1 Congress is the office tower, remember, so there's a specific repair which has to do with Bowker Street, New Chardon, and Merrimack Street. A canopy license, which has to do with the entrance to the building. Vertical discontinuance, which we'll talk about in terms of the building itself. And then a pedestrian easement as well. So John, first is the specific repair on Bowker and New Chardon. So this has to do with the security needs for State Street. So remember, State Street is our tenant coming here, and State Street is identified by the federal government as a kind of a key financial institution that requires a certain amount of security. And so as part of that security, their outside consultant recommended a series of bollards that will be placed by us, particularly on Bowker and running around the corner on New Chardon Street. And so this slide kind of shows the placement of those bollards and kind of where we are on that. So that's the first action for that piece.
So that's for Bowker Street. If I could add, Tom, this is John Hurley. I work with Tom. I would just add, also in addition to the bollards, there's also, talks about, sort of the trees that'll be placed there, the sort of pavement, the curbing, all the typical items that you would typically see in, in a specific repair plan. As I pivot here to New Chardon Street too, I think this gives you a broad, kind of a larger picture of kind of, the main area of where this building lies. And just going back to the bollards, I might say, yes, Tom, if I could just piggyback on your comment there. Yes, it's sort of a third-party security consultant sort of is implemented sort of these bollards, which has come up with some of the commissioners here and in the comment period after we submitted these plans, and but also to the sort of spacing of the bollards and the location of these bollards is sort of informed by the Federal Reserve government, the Federal Reserve and even Homeland Security with respect to State Street, our anchor tenant being sort of a strategically important financial institution, and these sort of security measures are required because but for these bollards in these locations, something like that, a catastrophic event could sort of trigger a financial crisis, from their perspective, and so that's why the bollards are placed as such. So again, knowing that this had come up in other conversations prior to today's new business hearing, we just want to make sure we proactively raise that today. So sorry, Tom, to run in front of you, but want to make sure I added that in. But this is, if you want to continue, this is sort of a continuation of the specific repair on New Chardon.
That piece, great. And I should also add the aquafence, I think, as part of this as well. So
Yeah.
in addition, as part of the specific repair, we will create the basic format for an aquafence, which will be used obviously in occasions when there is expected, significant flooding. These are hopefully will be rare occasions, but they are occasions that are predicted and expected, and so we need to be prepared for them. And so in addition to that, there will be pieces in the side, placements in the sidewalk prepared for the placement of an aquafence, and that this slide also shows those placements as well.
And then, so that's, and I would add, if I may, Tom, a couple of things that have come up. There had been some comment during sort of in the aftermath of submitting these materials around kind of this detail here, which is kind of like if you're coming southbound on today Merrimack Street, this sort of channelized turn, and this sort of sort of detail here. This is something that we, completing this work is something that we've done in consultation with BTD in terms of, so that it's required, so that it's allowed to make sort of, so that trucks can sort of make this turn, but it doesn't impinge on sort of pedestrians, the width that they should and will have sort of in the final condition here. I think it's still, at least 6 feet or greater. And so, again, just sort of proactively raising some questions that come up from various commissioners or others, in the process. So again, I think that sort of rounds out kind of items that show up on the specific repair plan, in addition to the bollards, the aquafence. It's like, remember too, it's also the trees, the curbing, the sort of pavers, et cetera. And then lastly, this is the detail that shows, Tom, kind of Merrimack Street today.
Great.
I get specific here on Merrimack.
So that's the last piece of that part for Merrimack Street as we wrap around, that piece of the corner. Okay.
These are just details that show, the bollards, the light street, the light poles, the sort of parking sign, the trees that will be installed. Again, all in keeping, with what shows up in sort of plan view. Brings us to the next action, Tom, the canopy license.
This is the canopy license. And Barbara, please stop me if I'm going too fast. The next is the canopy license for the entrance for the building itself. So, we expect that this will be, we think this will be the nicest office building in Boston. And so we're completing an entrance with a sign that we believe is appropriate for that. And so this will be, this is the drawing that shows the sign itself. One Congress is the address. And this is where the canopy will be located there, right on the corner as New Chardon comes down and around the corner there on Congress Street. Vertical discontinuance has to do with the construction of the building. So folks will remember that the design of this building is pretty unique. It's an elliptical design with a really important swoop in the building, and the swoop, as it's been executed, does come out a little bit over, approximately 10 feet over the Merrimack in the northeast corner of the building. And so the upper floors kind of, have that happen. So that this is an action to increase that projection by approximately 10 feet over that piece of it.
If I may add, just, that's just, in the aftermath of kind of, this is such a tight site and already so close to sort of the property line today. So, so any adjustments that need to be made, like to, cause this need for an additional vertical discontinuance, which, again, which from our perspective is relatively de minimis, but because it's such a tight site, sort of any change or further projection out does require this action, which is why we're presenting it today. Again, which leads us to the last pedestrian easement.
Last section is a pedestrian easement. This is New Chardon Street. There's two of these pieces. That's New Chardon Street and Bowker. Those are two pieces, again, that we will create. And I think that is our final slide. I would just note quickly, I think our team member and partner and friend, DeFranzo was also on this call, and we worked collectively as a group to try and make sure that we coordinated these as well as we possibly can with all departments. And so we're certainly more than happy to spend more time with any other folks who have questions or anything else with us on these issues.
Thank you, Tom. Any questions for Mr. O'Brien by fellow commission members at this point?
Hey, Tom and John, thank you so much for the project update, as well as the requested documentation regarding the security bollards. with that said, I think there are still opportunities to refine some of the design to make it a little bit more accessible, but we look forward to working with you perhaps during these 2 weeks between new business and public hearings to ensure that those details are sorted out and that we're dotting our I's and crossing our T's before this goes to public hearing.
We agree, Sarah. We, care deeply about the issues that, that have been discussed a little bit. So in terms of, adding material to the ramp design, we're certainly ready to do that. And the bollards, all the things that you've raised with us, we're ready to take those on and add those onto the design. So we're happy to work with you in the next couple of weeks to make sure that that happens.
To add to that conversation that you're about to have with Sarah, can we figure out what the distance, when you've deployed an aqua fence, what the distance between the aqua fence and the bollards are to make sure that that's of an appropriate dimension when the aqua fence is up?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, we will do that as well to make sure that that's reviewed and makes sense. Happy to do that.
Any further questions by fellow commission members? One tiny thing, and I'm certain this has been gone well through. What are the curbside parking regulations, Tom, right in front of your awesome canopy that says, 1 Congress Street? Because anyone that is, whether it's a limousine driver or Uber, has that been facilitated? Because on the opposite side, we have the courthouse, just a little bit of concern.
Yes. Yeah, obviously we've spent a lot of time on that. I invite John to, I'll take a quick stab, but the idea is these are quick drop and go spaces for Uber drivers or for people who are cab drivers who are dropping folks off at the building. Obviously we have a whole process for package delivery, which will be in another spot, but this is really for vehicles dropping people at the building. Quick stop and go.
Awesome.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Any further comments by fellow commission members? Hearing none. Any comments by PSC staff or members of today's audience?
No, all set.
Hearing none, we will mark you up for 2 weeks for December 16th.
Thank you so much. Thanks to all the members of the commission. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Third item of today's new business agenda, Channel Street, South Boston. Abandonment, widening, relocation, and extension on a set of petitions by BCG-CG, Harbor Property LLC, and the Economic Development and Industrial Corporation of Boston.
Good morning. Thank you. My name is Chris Sani with Niche Engineering. I'm joined here by Eric Ewer, representing the owner, Jen Schultz with Sullivan & Worcester, David Wyszynski of Handel Architects, and Mark Klopfer of Klopfer Martin Design Group. And we're here to run through some PIC actions within the EDIC area for the 2 Harbor Street project, and specifically relating to Channel Street. So I'm going to turn it over to the project team real quick for a quick overview, and then I'll come back.
Thank you, Chris.
Thanks, Chris. So you can see from the rendering here that we're proposing the first phase.
Sir, if you could be ever so kind and introduce yourself by identifying yourself.
Yeah, this is Eric Ewer. I'm with Beacon Capital Partners.
Thank you, Eric.
And this is our first out of the ground, we like to say first in class life science building. A little bit about Beacon, we've been in Boston for 75 years and we've built quite a few office buildings, and about a year and a half ago, we started a life science group, and they've come aboard to head up our construction and development of our life science developments. And this is our first one out of the ground, and we're excited about it. And the overall project is a 9-story building, with the 10th story penthouse. It's a 40-60 lab office mix, and we have 1 level of underground parking. So, David, I don't know if you want to say anything else about the project overall, or if that's enough, Chris, for then to go back to you, or?
No, Eric, that is just fine. Thank you for the very brief overview, and obviously appreciate all the tremendous wonderful work you all have done for the betterment of our city over the years. So thank you very much.
I'm sure the Leventhal family would appreciate that very much.
Okay, Chris, if you can give me the specifics of the items that are in front of the commission.
Yep, so kind of just a quick overview. We've got Northern Ave here on the right side of the plan, assuming you can see my cursor, and then Harbor Street coming down the bottom. And the piece that we really are dealing with today is Channel Street, which is an existing private way which runs through the project site, around this building, and then loops around back to Harbor Street here. So this, if I could get to the next page, this is a view from the corner of Harbor Street, which is where this truck is. We've got our new building, and then this is going left to right across the page, the new section of Channel Street, which we are going to discuss. Oops, wrong one. So just to give this is a more general overview of what we're doing, and this kind of tells why we're doing it. This shaded area is the approximate project site. We've got Northern Ave here, the Massport Hall Road on the west side, Harbor Street on the southeast, and then Channel Street, which runs through the site, and then extends around that building and back to Harbor Street. So because it runs through the site, we're looking to abandon it, it's a private way, and then relocate it onto this existing private driveway back to Harbor Street so that it'll return back to Harbor Street on itself. So that's kind of the overview. And so to get into more of the specifics here, this is the abandonment plan for the section of Channel Street that runs through the site today, running from the entrance at Northern Ave, down through the site, onto and then off the site, and this intersection here, adjacent to 12 Channel Street, which is the existing building there. And this is a joint petition with the EDIC, so they are the owners of ultimately all of this land, including our property, so including this section of Channel Street, which we're abandoning. And then, so that Channel Street is not a dead end, through discussions with the city, through discussions with the EDIC, the plan is to create a new section of Channel Street in what is an existing private driveway, to return it back to Harbor Street so that so there's access on all sides. To do that, we're going to cut back the existing curb from where it's shown here in the solid blue back to the dash blue. And what that'll do is up against the edge of our parcel, that'll create a 10-foot sidewalk for pedestrians, cement concrete. We'll have new streetlights in there as well. And this is really facilitating ultimately a connection down here through the site and out to the Hall Road, to all the other development that's going on in the Seaport. A few other things that we'll be doing here will be, like I said, relocating the lights. There are some catch basins that will be relocated as well. And we're adding in a couple of pedestrian ramps here, just to kind of improve access. The existing site use is a warehouse, or was a warehouse, it's now just it's been demolished. So limited pedestrian facilities before, so we're adding a crosswalk across Harbor Street here and across the new section of Channel Street here. And I'd say that's really about it. I want to open it up to questions.
Any questions for Mr. Harding?
On this plan right here, there's an existing curb line shown on this piece of street, and then you say existing curb line to remain in blue. What's the existing curb line outboard of the blue line?
So we have the existing curb line on our side of the street, which will be cut back. On the opposite side of the street, there's the existing curb line, and that will remain.
Well, then what's the existing curb line that's shown outboard of that?
So, this gray curb line?
Yeah.
So this is, essentially what we're creating here is the 42-foot right-of-way so that in the future, work could be done on the opposite side to bring that up to city standards to have a sidewalk on the other side of the street.
So what does that grayscale curb line represent?
It is we're showing the offsets that we would need, zoom in here, 10-foot sidewalk, 12-foot lane, 12-foot lane, 7-foot sidewalk. So we're showing that this works for the future alignment when that sidewalk does get created. It's not something that we're proposing to construct now, as this is really not under our control, but showing that we're not precluding it in the future.
And just as an anecdote, because this is our sign shop right here, the street floods like crazy. So especially on the end where you come out to Harbor Street.
Okay. We will note that we've been working with Boston Water and Sewer Commission on this, yeah, noted. There is kind of a puddle, I think, that forms here pretty often.
Yes.
And I
Puddle's
think
an understatement.
yeah.
Kind of a small pond.
Yes.
So, but we're aware of that, very much aware of it. I think that Marla and Larry, the edict has us putting a manhole there in that last, to make sure that drains also.
Yeah, we've been working with Boston Water and Sewer Commission, and we're relocating a bunch of utilities out here as well, kind of in concert with this, and so it's all part of that same plan.
Is there a reason why the curb can't go in on the other side, like even as a potential help with some of the drainage issues out here? Like not to necessarily build a whole sidewalk over there, but at least install something that would represent the future curb line so that the drainage can become what the future drainage will be.
So, I mean, Eric and Jen, jump in if you want. The way that it functions right now is that there's like this catch basin here, and this catch basin here, obviously close to the building, and then there's access that's needed for the concrete pads and transformers and stairs and whatnot. So putting in the curb causes other issues that are off-site that are touching that building.
This is Jennifer Schultz, Land Use Council and Permitting Council for Beacon. So Amy, I think what it comes down to is that this is all of course EDIC property, but that everything relating to 12 Channel Street, that building right there and its immediate adjacency is outside of our lease and is currently occupied by a different lessee. And so in the work that we and Chris have done with Larry Mamoli and Marla Cummings at EDIC alongside with the coordination with Todd, it's been made clear to us that that is not within the purview of our lease and our project. And so the instruction was, as Chris said, to not foreclose the opportunity to have it done right on the other side of the street on the, if and when that site is redeveloped, or at least the sidewalk and the adjacent areas are redeveloped. And so this is sort of following the instruction of bringing it as far as we possibly can in relation to our project.
Yeah, no, I mean, it wasn't about adding sidewalks over there. It was that if we could get the drainage where it's supposed to be in the future street, that might help everybody. I mean, it's BTD that's the occupant, right? Like, we're the occupant on the other side of the street. So, like, as the other side here, I think it wasn't about, we don't need a sidewalk over there, right? Like, you end up in loading bays. But it was more if we could structure I'm more worried about the drainage and that potentially being where it should be in the future and having, a berm that goes along this edge so that we're now not flooding out these, what are like, I don't know what, generators and stuff that we have lined up out here. But we certainly have a vested interest in you not bringing more water to our side of the street.
Understood. And so, Chris, are there further follow-up conversations that you can have along these lines to make sure that we're only doing good and not doing harm?
Yeah, and I think, we can have some follow-up conversations on this. We're moving the catch basins on our side of the street, and we can make it a bit more clear on the plan, but we'll end up crowning the street and returning that back to us. So where the curb is there today, flowing out and then across the street, we're going to create a crown there, which is going to push that back towards our site. So, I don't think there's really an increase in flows that are going towards that building, the 12 Channel Street building.
The Seagull Spa will not occur when we're done.
On that thoughtful note, any further comments by fellow commission members? Chris, just to echo Ms. Collins' point, see whether a mountable curb or anything can be done, even though you're crowding the street, keeping in also mind that these are two private streets and all the fun that goes along with two private streets. Okay, so this is all just being good neighbors with each other, nothing more, nothing less. If there are no further comments by fellow commission members, any comments by PIC staff and all members of today's audience?
No, none.
Hearing none, we will see you all in 2 weeks. That should put us to December 16th.
Great, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Give me a second. The abandonment, Chris, do you have an engineering report for the abandonment segment of Adult Street, even though it was a paper street? Just check with Mr. Lining on that.
Yeah,
Sure.
They've identified the utility infrastructure and what's going to happen within the abandonment area.
Awesome. Thank you so much. See you in 2 weeks.
Thank
Great,
you.
thank you.
Thank you.
New business item number 4, 13th Street, 3rd Avenue, Charlestown, pedestrian easement specific repairs on a set of joint petitions by the General Hospital Corporation and the Boston Planning and Development Agency. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Howard Mosier with VHB. I'm joined this morning by Nick Haney from Massachusetts General Hospital, by Lisa Harrington from the Boston Planning and Development Agency, and Chris Rainier from Goulston and Stores. This project is a streetscape improvement project located in the Charlestown Navy Yard on 13th Street. 13th Street sees a considerable amount of through traffic from the neighborhood of the Charlestown Navy Yard as it goes north. And Massachusetts General Hospital leases properties on both sides of the street and has a significant amount of visitor, patient, and employee traffic at the street level between a parking garage, which is shown to the bottom of this plan, and a large building to the north of this plan. And as a proactive measure to improve safety for the pedestrians in the area, Massachusetts General Hospital is proposing a raised crosswalk to linking the two buildings. This raised crosswalk will raise the grade of the street up 6 inches to sidewalk level. Protective bollards will be located on both curb lines, and tactile warning strips will be provided where the road meets the sidewalk elevation with a flush curb condition. The proponent has coordinated over the last several months with the BPDA, with Parks, with BTD to ensure that the details are satisfactory, and we've had a considerable amount of interaction with the access department to make sure that access is met and access requirements are met. Associated with these improvements, the city has requested a pedestrian easement, which is shown on the next plan. Oh, sorry, wrong way. A small pedestrian easement of 740 square feet that allows pedestrians to cross behind 2 existing tree pits onto property that is owned by the BPDA and leased by Massachusetts General Hospital. Thank you.
Thank you, Howard. Howard, do you have any photographs or anything that can show us a live example of where this is? Perfect. So I'm going to assume that is the area where the crossing is needed.
Yeah, I'm going to run my cursor. You can see there's just a little pedestrian warning sign, and and this is where we want to raise the crosswalk. You know, there's 3 prominent doors here, and pedestrians exchange down 3rd towards Spalding Rehab. They go to the garage, so it's a dispersed pedestrian pattern, which is where the raised crosswalk really lent itself as a solution.
Thank you, Howard. Okay, Lisa, truly appreciate you guys always doing proactive work of this nature to ensure that the welfare of those that are coming to your place is always maintained rather than giving you new clients. That's my bad joke for the moment. Okay, any questions for Howard and his team from fellow commission members? Hearing none, any comments by PSC staff or members of today's audience?
No, none.
Great. Lisa, Howard, we will see you in 2 weeks on December 16th.
Thank you all.
Thank you so much. 5th item on today's agenda, 2147 Washington Street, Gary Street, Roxbury, abandonment, specific repairs, earth retention license on a set of petitions by 2107 Master Developer LLC, 2167 Washington Street, Realty Trust, Dudley, Washington LLC, Ruggles Assisted Living LP, Ruggles Shawman Housing LLC, Society for Islamic Brotherhood Inc., and the City of Boston Department of Neighborhood Development. Good morning.
Good morning. James Downing from Howard St. Hudson. I'm also joined this morning by Matty Blanchard from Howard St. Hudson and by Brian Goldson from New Atlantic Development, who is representing the applicant. We're here to present the abandonment plan, specific repair plan, and the air retention system plan for 2147 Washington Street in the Roxbury neighborhood. The development will include the construction of a brand new 6-story building with 74 residential units. It will also provide space on the ground floor for restaurant, cafe, and also some community space. The building will also include underground parking for 31 spaces. The next slide, please, Maddie. The construction of a new driveway to access underground parking will result in the client seeking an abandonment plan for Gary Street. Gary Street is in essence a paper street, and all of the direct abutters have agreed to the abandonment. Next slide, please, Mike. Here you can see on the specific repair plan the new relocated curb cut for Gary Street, which will in essence be the new driveway is located on the right-hand side of the plan. The improvements within the public right-of-way will also include new street trees, porous pavers within the furnishing zone, bike racks, and also a brand new concrete cement 5-foot wide sidewalk. Next slide, please, Maddie. Client is also seeking to install a retention system within the right-of-way along Washington Street property line. The encroachment into the right-of-way will be approximately 128 feet long by 14 inches wide. The next slide, please. The retention system consists of soldier piles with timber lagging. Upon completion of the building and prior to the reconstruction of the sidewalk, the top 4-foot section of the retention system and with the lagging and the soldier piles will be removed. A draft TAFA has been submitted to BTD, and a CMP has also been submitted to BTD and has been approved. And with that, we're happy to answer any questions that commission members may have.
Thank you, James. Any questions for Mr. Downey by fellow commission members? Hearing none. James, can you go for the slide that showed the abandonment plans?
Sure.
So this is a public street, a paper street, or what's the deal with this one, Todd?
It's an unconstructed private way.
Unconstructed private way.
Correct. Paper street.
Okay. Paper street. Okay, so when it gets abandoned, the city has just the administrative process of agreeing to it, right? Are there any utilities or anything that we should be concerned within this paper street or within this established street?
The project has identified the utilities, James. You can speak to those.
Okay, just offline, Todd, see whether an engineering report is needed on this one.
Certainly.
Okay, any further comments by PIC staff or members of today's audience?
No, none.
Great, we will see you up in 2 weeks for December 16th.
Thank you so much. We'll see you then.
Thank you. Sixth item on today's agenda, 75 through 101 Federal Street, Boston proper. Specific repairs on a joint petition by 75 through 101 Fed Owner LLC and CP 75-101 Federal LLC. Good morning, Kathy.
Good morning. This one actually is not Kathy.
My bad.
Chris Honey with Niche Engineering, and I'm here with Harrison Smith, representing Rocco Management, who owns 75-101. So this is related to, or similar to, I guess would be a way to describe it, the work that is on as the next agenda item, which is the sidewalks in front of the Winthrop Center Tower. So we've been working with 75-101 Federal Street to basically extend that sidewalk down in front of their building as well. So this is very similar to what I'm going to present in about a few minutes here. But essentially, and we have the other work on here at the Winthrop Center Tower. We've got Federal Street running from right to left across the plan, and it's one way from right to left as well. The existing curb line, shown in dark blue here, would be extended out with the same pavers that will be installed as part of the Winthrop Center Tower project. And then a larger concrete sidewalk. It'll be 13 feet total, or sorry, 12 and a half feet total of cement concrete city standard sidewalk in front of the building. We'll be maintaining the existing driveway entrances here, just extending them out. And to accommodate this, we'll have to relocate one Boston Water and Sewer catch basin, and we've submitted that to Boston Water and Sewer site plan review, and actually just got some comments on that. So we're working with them on relocating that at the moment. Relatively straightforward, so I'll open it up to questions.
Thank you, Chris. Any questions for Mr. Hotney?
No, not a question, just a comment. These guys are working with us. We're trying to figure out our future desired width of Federal Street. I think that we want the curb line to come out. We just aren't sure specific dimensions, which we will endeavor to get them before 2 weeks is up. But yeah, just that we have a future bus potentially coming through here, and we want to make sure we're not a couple inches short of the required bus dimension.
Thanks, Amy. I think many of us know how Federal Street functions today, and its true potential in the future. So we all can hopefully row in the same direction. That'd be awesome. Any further comments by Commission members? Hearing none. Comments by PAC staff and all members of today's audience?
No, none.
Hearing none. Chris, we will see you in 2 weeks for new business item number 6.
Sounds great. Thank you.
7th item, 115 Federal Street, Winthrop Square, Boston proper specific repairs on a petition by MCA at Winthrop LLC. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioner Jay Singh and staff. My name is Kathleen McNeil. I'm here representing the owner, MCAF Winthrop LLC, a division of Millennium Partners. Joining me is Chris Hodney, our civil engineer, and Curtis Puncher, our landscape architect. We're here today to do the Federal Street sidewalks, which is part of the Winthrop Center project located in downtown Boston. And as you could see from the previous presentation, we had completed our work on the Federal Street side, including Winthrop, on the Devonshire Street side, including Winthrop Square Park, but we were coordinating with our neighbors at 101 Federal in order to make a better pedestrian experience along the entire Federal Street portion. Chris, if you could advance the slide, please. So the Federal Street portion includes a very dramatic public entrance to the connector space, which is going to be open and available to pedestrians on a regular basis to use as a cut through, coming from most likely South Station and then being able to cut through Winthrop Center to get to Devonshire and hopefully stopping to enjoy this new connector space. So as part of that design, we had planned to enhance the Federal Street sidewalk, which included making it wider. The previous garage that occupied the site had a very narrow sidewalk. Next slide. So to that extent, we are doing a concrete sidewalk, which will meet city standards, including accessibility. And we have a couple of curb cuts. One exists going into Federal Court, and I probably should have colored that because it is at the same elevation. You'll walk through at the same elevation, and there'll be a bump up for both the Federal Court access, which does not exist today, so that's an improvement for the pedestrian, and then for the ramp to the parking garage for the commercial tenants. We'll be introducing a mid-block crosswalk, which did not exist prior, but is very important given the pedestrian flow that I mentioned from South Station, accompanying ADA ramps, and then then pavers that will fill in where we don't have concrete. Those pavers are similar to what we're using on Devonshire Street, at the Tontine Plaza, and up at Shoppers Park. So it carries that theme kind of through the downtown area. Part of the project, I had shown you that very dramatic glass entry. Therefore, we are placing security bollards basically for any traffic coming out of Matthews Street. As we know these days, unfortunately, we have to plan for the worst. So we will be putting security bollards in that particular area but we were careful to not have those bollards interfere with where we want people to cross the street. And actually, currently designed, they'll help deter people from crosswalking where they shouldn't crosswalk. So that's the general idea of what we're proposing to do, and we are coordinating this work with the 101 Federal Street project, so the work will be done at the same time. Suffolk Construction will be doing both projects later this year or early next year.
Thank you, Kathy. Any questions for Mr. McLean?
And Chris has the detailed PIC plans if we want to show you those.
Yeah, and I think, thanks, Kathy. I think you did a pretty good job of describing pretty much everything that I would describe. A few details, just the sidewalk here it's in front of the building will be 13 feet wide, the cement concrete sidewalk. So that's a pretty good improvement over the existing sidewalk that was out there before. And then just, I think to point out those bollard locations, we've got the 6 bollards here, and then there will be other standard bollards in this location. So that is the difference there. And then just we're proposing the raised crosswalk to extend the sidewalk across Federal Court, which it's only about 10 feet wide in the existing conditions. So just extending the sidewalk across that area, and you can see the grades here where it slopes up and then slopes back down into Federal Court.
Thank you. Any questions for Ms. McNeil or the petitioners, right?
No, my comment's the same. We own dimensions just to make sure that this is all set, and we are actively pursuing that and hope to have it within the 2 weeks. But either way, it'll be, this can go, we'll vote contingent on that being set in the future, but we're for this.
Great, thank you.
Thanks. Kathy, I have one tiny comment, not sure whether it can be pulled off or not. The bollards which you are introducing that are for security purposes, which means the bollard needs to serve that basic functionality of it. What I don't know, Kathy, is whether there are any bollards that are lit, meaning internally lit, because that entrance you have is so amazing. Okay, we saw a similar presentation earlier this morning regarding another project, and when you're producing bollards in front of an amazing front entrance, I'm trying to see how it will look at night time, and if you can find a bollard that can be lit or that there's a light attached to the bollard where it still maintains its functionality. So it's not a request by me, just consideration for you, because sometimes these bollards become so functional, at least the stuff I've seen around here, and elsewhere they seem to be more urban design tone. Just putting it out there.
Great, okay, I will definitely look into that, thank you.
Thanks. Okay, any comments to PSC staff or members of today's audience?
No, none.
Excellent. Kathy, we'll see you in 2 weeks. That should put us to December 16th.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you.
Next item, new business item number 8, 1599 Columbus Avenue, Emery Street, Roxbury. Pedestrian easement specific repairs on a set of petitions by 1599 Columbus LLC. Good morning.
Good morning. Oh, go ahead, Will. This is Will Schriever with Niche Engineering. I'm here with Sharon Small with Urban Edge, who's representing the owner. I'm just going to give a small introduction to the project, and then I'll go into the details of the specific repairs and pedestrian easement conditions.
Thank you, Ms. Small. Sorry. Thank you, Will. My bad, Ms. Small.
Good morning. Thank you for having us. To give a brief overview of the project, 1599 Columbus Avenue is a new construction residential project. It will create 65 new apartments affordable to households earning up to 30% and 60% of the area median income. The site at 1595 and 1599 Columbus Avenue currently has 2 distressed commercial buildings and a surface parking lot. The project will demolish the existing buildings and construct 1 6-story residential building with 5 residential stories, over ground floor community space, semi-covered parking, and a small non-residential space along Columbus Avenue. And I'll turn it over to Will.
Thank you, Ms. Small.
So I just want to double check that I do have the right screen up for sharing. Can everyone see the slideshow that's there?
No,
Yeah.
seeing just your desktop background.
All right.
There we go.
Apologies. Okay. So this is just an aerial that's showing the location of the project. It's in the Roxbury neighborhood between Amory Street and Columbus Avenue. And this is just a closer zoom up aerial what we're proposing. These are the two buildings linked by the second story above, traced by that yellow line, between Columbus and Amory. So proposing repairs associated.
Sorry. Can you just go back one slide? I just want to make sure all commission members. So that segment of Amory Street, that is the cut through. When I say cut through, when you're heading towards, Rossi or Hyde Park, you go down Amory and Amory. So it's the block of the streets between Amory and Columbus, right? Which means your utilities and construction will impact both the Columbus facade or streets and Amory. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Awesome. Thank you. My bad. Now you can continue, sir.
No problem. So the specific repairs that we are proposing and pedestrian easement associated with the construction of that new building. There are 2 curb cuts generally associated with access for buildings surrounding on either side that we're generally going to be maintaining, changing the location of slightly on both sides to accommodate the streetscape that is coming in. It's going to be concrete sidewalk with some unit pavers on the property, providing generally an 8-foot path of travel along Columbus Avenue. The pedestrian easement that we are proposing guarantees a 6.5-foot path of travel between the pavers that are going to be along Columbus and the edge of that easement. Concrete unit pavers along Columbus in general. We're going to be maintaining the exact same curb line, so not proposing any change. It's going to be either reusing the same granite curb or installing new in the same general area, not changing any grading or drainage that's coming in there. We will be relocating a few streetlights along here, but generally maintaining these same sort of locations. There are some bike racks that are coming in along with that streetscape and planting beds along the building that will be installed as part of the improvements. And then and this is just a rendering that shows kind of those proposed improvements along Columbus Avenue, bike racks, the unit pavers, and the path of travel there. And these are the specific repairs being proposed along Amory. There is an existing street tree located along this. We have a hearing scheduled with the tree warden for January 6th, so we requested obviously any approval be contingent upon approval from the tree hearing, and if we did run it, if it was rejected, we'd anticipate coming back to PIC with a revised plan incorporating that tree. But again, similarly, repairs associated with the building that's being installed there. There will be a new curb cut providing access to a drive that would be associated with the development right there. 3 street trees are being proposed along with the unit paver, and some plant beds would be associated with those trees along the street. Similarly, concrete sidewalk being proposed for the pedestrian path. Here, there is a 6.5-foot path of travel minimum in areas where we have items like stairs and ramps coming down from the proposed development to meet the sidewalk. There is more space provided in certain areas, and similar to the other side, the pedestrian easement being proposed is to guarantee that 6.5-foot path of travel. Relocating a couple different utilities along here just to provide for better function along the proposed building. There's a fire hydrant that exists right here. We're proposing to relocate right there to leave this area open for some loading and unloading functions, as well as a relocated utility / light pole that would have been where we want to propose the driveway. Otherwise, keeping the exact same curb line, keeping the same grading, won't be relocating any BWSC owned structures, and just otherwise concrete, pavers, and trees associated with the improvements that are there. And then this is a rendering that shows those improvements along Amory, and then just the pedestrian easement plans showing what I had previously discussed, guaranteeing that 6.5-foot path of travel along either side. So that's pretty much what we're proposing. Throw it open to any comments or questions from the commission.
Thank you, Will. Any questions by fellow commission members?
I guess just that we approved a whole bunch of stuff on the other side of Amory Street, and to make sure that this streetscape is the same streetscape as you've got going in on the other side?
I believe that's coming in generally kind of right over here. We will double check and review, but that was also done by Niche, so it should be easy to confirm, but I believe it is generally in line with what we're proposing over there.
We would also like to confirm that on Columbus Ave, just making sure that any handrails due to the steps aren't protruding out into the pedestrian easement, and those extensions are either tucked back in or just designed to ensure that it doesn't create a protruding object.
Of course, and you can see right here, I'll just zoom in a little bit so you can see, those would be the handrail that would be associated with the stair along Columbus that will not protrude into the easement that we're proposing, and the same would be true over on Amory. We are making sure that those stay out of the guaranteed path of travel for pedestrians.
Great, thank you so much.
Thank you, Will. Thanks. Any further questions for Will or Sharon by commission members? Will, could you put back you had the street layout, not the street layout, circulation, where you showed Amory and Columbus? That's perfect. Amy, I'm not sure whether this fine team has put together a construction management plan, because if my memory serves me correctly, there has been a block to the left. There's a left turn that is prohibited, so there's a fair amount of traffic that goes on Amory Street just to get to, I forget what that street is. Plus the bus lane, Amy, that has been installed. Does it come all the way up to this point of Columbus Ave? I guess my point is...
Yeah, either way, you're going to want a solid CMP or just to keep out of Columbus Ave with your construction, right? Like everything you should do should be backwards facing, and you know, you might need a piece of the sidewalk in the beginning, but I would stay out of Columbus Ave.
Yes, sorry, Sharon and Will, what we are trying to gently tell you is the road surface on Columbus Ave and Amory is stressed to the nth degree. So I think it might be prudent for you to give a good thought for the construction management plan and start that conversation with the transportation department to ensure that this wonderful project can get constructed without either party stressing each other out. When I say because you've got a bus lane on Columbus Ave and there's a ton of traffic that is going on Amory Street. Okay, so that's all from me. Okay, any further comments by PIC staff and or members of today's audience?
No, all set.
Awesome. We will see you all in 2 weeks. That should put us to December 16th, Sharon.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks everyone. Next item, the business item number 9, 1153 Center Street, Allendale Street, West Roxbury. Pedestrian easement specific repairs on a set of petitions by the Brigham and Women's Faulkner Hospital, Inc. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Susan Dempsey. I'm the Vice President for Clinical Services at the Brigham and Women's Faulkner, and I thought I'd just give you a very brief overview of the project. So we have a set of 3 projects. We are a community hospital on Center Street in the Jamaica Plain, West Roxbury area, and we have proposed an inpatient addition, which would include 78 new med-surg inpatient beds, sorely needed, I'll add, an expanded endoscopy suite, an expanded imaging department with a new MRI, and a new 8-bed extended recovery unit for our procedural programs. It's about 98,000 square feet, and it's 5 stories high. The second part of our plan is we have an old garage, parking garage, and it desperately needs to be replaced. So we are proposing a replacement garage. It does have additional parking, about 330 or so net new parking places, and that is in the back of our campus. And then in the front of our campus, we have a much smaller garage that is largely used for valet that serves our patients. And our patient entrance is largely in the front, and we would like to add 2 stories onto that to give additional expansion space for the valet service, given that we're doing the addition. So that is an overview of our project, and I believe Lisa Chow from VHB is here and will tell you about the particular things today.
Thank you, Susan.
Thank you, Susan. Good morning, members of the Commission. My name is Lisa Chow with VHB. On behalf of the applicant, Brigham and Women's Faulkner Hospital, we are requesting the approval of a specific repair and a pedestrian easement on Allendale Street. These actions are in association with the proposed projects at the Faulkner Hospital that Susan just provided an overview for. I do want to confirm, can everyone see my screen?
Yes, Lisa, we can.
On the screen, I do have an image that provides some context for the Commission to the Faulkner Hospital campus, as well as the proposed projects. As Susan mentioned, there is a proposed replacement west garage on the west side of the campus over here. And then the inpatient building addition is located here, which is adjacent to the existing main hospital building. And the east garage addition that Susan mentioned is located over here. Today, we are here to discuss the proposed improvements on Allendale Street, which is on the south side of the campus. Under existing condition, there is no sidewalk on the north side of Allendale Street. The project agreed to construct a sidewalk on the north side of Allendale between the existing campus driveway entrance here and the proposed driveway curb cut to the new garage, as well as a pedestrian crossing to the south side of Allendale Street. The project also includes the construction of a new curb cut on Allendale Street to facilitate access to the proposed parking garage, as well as installation of vertical granite curb, concrete sidewalk, and accessible ramps. Associated with these improvements, the city has requested a pedestrian easement to cross the existing campus. This pedestrian easement is a variable width and consists of approximately 187 square feet of area. The project team has coordinated extensively with PIC staff, as well as BTD, BPDA, Commissions for Persons with Disabilities, and Parks Department on the proposed improvements that provide a new sidewalk as well as protect existing trees. Earlier this week, there was a request from city agencies, for specialty pavement in front of the 2 existing trees that will remain. The project team does intend to coordinate with the appropriate agencies on the detail of this specialty pavement prior to the public hearing. The project has also gone through the BPDA process and received BPDA board approval, as well as received approval from BWSC as part of the site plan review process. The project has also submitted a CNP to BTD, and we're currently in the process of working through comments that were received from BTD staff. At this moment, are there any questions from the Commissioner?
Thank you, Lisa. Open it up for questions or comments by fellow Commission members.
I just want to thank the project team for working extensively with myself, William Moose, and Jill Zick, and Liza Meyer from the Parks Department on coordination for the Allendale Street design, and we look forward to working out all the details in regard to the specialty pavement for the spaces in front of the mature trees.
Thank you, Sarah. Any further comments by fellow Commission members? Hearing none. Lisa, I have a quick question. Intersection of Center Street and Allendale, I believe there's a free-flowing right-turn overlap at the traffic signal, and there's a fair amount of traffic that uses that right-turn overlap. I hope you know what I mean by the right-turn movement. And that is coming off Center Street to Allendale. That right-turn overlap. So from that location, Lisa, you are introducing a new crosswalk on Allendale. Roughly how many seconds of travel time is that crosswalk Do you have a sense of how far that crosswalk is from Center Street?
So are you referring to this crosswalk?
No. You are
this
introducing
one?
the new, further. Did
Oh,
you say
sorry.
The mid-block, the new baby.
Yep.
That one. Okay. So how far is that mid-block crosswalk from the traffic signal?
I understand what you're asking. I don't have that information off the top of my head, but I can provide that.
No, it's okay. Hold on, Lisa, there's some construction going above my head. So what you need to be mindful of is, since you have a free flow right turn overlap, the speed of the cars that are coming through there, hopefully there's enough visibility sight distance to accommodate a mid-block crosswalk. Okay?
Comment noted. Thank you.
I would, hi, everyone, commissioners. This is Howard Mosier. While Lisa was presenting, I measured it. It's 650 feet plus or minus from the intersection to the mid-block. More than enough.
More than enough distance. Okay, great. Any comments by fellow commission members? I've asked them already. Any comments by PIC staff and or members of today's audience?
No, we'll just note that the final plans will need to reflect whatever pavement material is chosen and agreed to by city staff.
Thank you, Todd. Just to put it on the record, the Public Improvement Commission has received a letter of support from the Friends of Allendale Woods. They have been very complimentary of the process. You all have gone through the community process, so obviously our compliments to you for going through such a wonderful community process. They're very appreciative of all that you have done. Okay. So,
Thank you.
So that being said, we will mark you up for 2 weeks. That should put us to December 16th. See you then.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to the next
Power, Brian Ronan, ISD. I actually have to leave. I have to jump into another meeting.
Awesome. Thank you, Brian. Thank you for being here. I believe we still have a quorum, but we are under new business, so this should be okay. Thanks, Brian. Item number 10, Commonwealth Avenue, Statmore Road, Brighton, grant of location on a petition by Verizon New England Inc.
Hello, this is James Watt again with Pike Telecom. These two new business items are going to be following suit. They're similar to the other items that we discussed earlier today. Verizon is petitioning to place underground fiber to respective node locations to provide service to the area. The first new business item 11. Let me share my screen here. Can everybody see this?
Yes, we can, James.
Okay, so Verizon's petitioning to place conduit from pole 78A-1 on Strathmore Street, about where my cursor is. They're looking to place 398 feet of conduit down Commonwealth Ave to an existing Exnet handhole at the front of 1875 Commonwealth Ave. If parking is going to be affected, Verizon will notify the correct department to get the proper approvals in place before they set out to do the work. Does anyone have any questions on this one?
Any questions by fellow commission members? Amy, this is segment of comment which you in your previous slide, very previous slide, you did right. Yeah, chopping up your streets, Amy. Okay. Sorry. Bad side jokes. Okay. Any or serious or meaningful comments by PIC members of the PIC Commission? Hearing none. Any comments by PIC staff and all members of today's audience?
No, we're all set with this one.
See you in 2 weeks. That should put us to December 16th. Last item on today's agenda, Norway Street, Stonehome Street, Roxbury grant of location on a petition by Verizon New England Inc.
Okay, in this new business item, Verizon is petitioning to place 293 feet of conduit from an existing manhole that's on Norway Street, should be right around that point. They're going to be placing the conduit up Stonehome Street to an existing Exnet handhole to provide new service to the area. The layout is as follows. Here's the manhole, Verizon placing the dash line up to stone home to an existing handhole. Are there any questions?
Any questions for Mr. Voss by commission members?
Just that through the comment review process, the project team identified one accessible on-street parking space on Norway Street, I believe, on the opposite side. So if that's affected for construction, just filling out that form and submitting it back to our office prior to construction.
Okay, yeah, I'll have that noted for Verizon to do such if it's noted, if it's going to be impacted.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Leon. Any further questions or comments to the petitioner? Hearing none, any comments or concerns by PSC staff or members of today's audience?
No, all set.
Excellent. We'll mark you up for 2 weeks. That should put us to December 16th. That concludes the new business segment of our agenda and our total agenda. I'd like to hear a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Meeting closed. Thank you all. Please stay safe. Thanks.